Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney. Today I have another base game renovation for you guys. Today we're actually going to be renovating the Crick Cabana. I think that's in Willow Creek. I think that's the name of it. I can't really see on the screen right now, but I'm pretty sure it is the Crick Cabana. This is a build that I've renovated before. If I can find that video, I'll link it down below in the description. The previous times that I've renovated this build, I think the last time I kind of did a more extravagant, well, I wouldn't say extravagant, but I kind of made a lot of changes to the build. I think I did some changes to the roofing, and I think I added on to the lot. I made the actual build a little bit bigger, and I even like moved the whole build like over to the side a little bit, so I had room, like I had space for, like, I guess you could say like a backyard. But with this one, I kind of wanted it to be more realistic, and I'll explain how I did so in a minute. But like, I think another renovation that I did for this build, it was a base game and budget friendly renovation. For this one specifically, it is budget friendly, so your sim should be able to move into the slot like with the 20,000 simoleons that most of the time you start off with. But this build in particular, I do plan on starting a Willow Creek save file. It's something that I think I've started before, but I've never finished. And this year, one of my goals is to completely finish a save file. But the thing with me with save files right now, because I was thinking about it earlier when I was doing my journaling, I think like maybe I might end up doing like 3 different save files. Hear me out. I know that seems like a lot, but like with this one, I didn't use a limited amount of packs. I kind of used whatever packs that I wanted. And I also did try to stick to a specific budget. But I think in like moving forward, I want to finish this save file. I am going to do that, and I'm going to use whatever packs that I have available. And for some of them, I think I am going to kind of budget. And then I think I want to make another save file that is like specifically base game, because Willow Creek came with base game, so I kind of want to redo Willow Creek again with just base game. And I eventually want to get to a point where I get to all the worlds and I completely renovate them, but they will be like limited like packs. I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about this. I might end up doing like maybe even more than 3 save files in the future, but like I don't know, I kind of like have like so many ideas that I want to work on, but I feel like I never have time to actually get to. But this one I do plan on, with this specific build, I do actually plan on doing a future Let's Play where I am playing the entire town of Willow Creek rotationally. And I will be playing with some of the townies that came with Willow Creek, but I also plan on making my own townies. In the last video that I uploaded, I actually introduced one of the townies that I will be playing with. I think after this house, I'll probably be moving on to the BFF household, and that's another house that I've renovated before, but I'm going to redo it because I don't know, I kind of like I'm all over the place with my save files, and I want to commit to like an actual save file and actually complete it. And then another idea for a save file that I have is to completely bulldoze all the lots, and kind of like how you have New Crest, which lets like a complete blank slate. I kind of want to have like a blank slate for all the worlds and just like completely like make my own original builds for all the towns that we currently have. I don't expect all of this to happen at once. It's probably going to be like a year's long worth of projects to do. I might be thinking way too far into the future, but I feel like eventually there's going to be a point where I've renovated the same lot like 15 times, and it's going to look different every single time. It's not going to be like me doing the same renovation over and over again, but it's going to be like me, I don't know, like especially when I was like looking back at this speed build and I was like looking at how I did things, and I was kind of thinking at the same time like, oh, I could have did this differently. And I don't know, it's kind of interesting like when you're in a creative process that like, I don't know, like you're doing things a certain way, but like sometimes you have to like take a break or take a step back, and then you realize that you could have did things a little bit differently, and I think that's a good thing. But my whole idea about this house was that I have a young adult sim who is moving here on their own, and I feel like in today's economy it's very unrealistic for a single young adult to move into a whole house by themselves. Usually a lot of young adults are renting, unless maybe, I don't know, they have a really good job somehow, or they come into a house like that's been passed down to them. And that's what I was kind of thinking with this sim, that maybe they I don't know, they had a long lost relative that passed away and they left them this house. And I kind of wanted to go about renovating this house as realistically as possible. One of the first things that I did with this renovation is I lowered the wall height, which is something that you probably wouldn't do realistically. And I did keep the roof the same, even though this isn't my favorite roof, but it's not as bad as some EA build roofing. In real life, I think it would cost a lot of money to redo the whole roof of a house. But in The Sims 4, it doesn't cost anything to do the roofing. I did change the color of the tiles, and I think like when I first started working on this build, I kind of changed the door and like the windows and then the foundation to just white. And in my mind, it was kind of like maybe the person who was moving here, they kind of like either repainted everything. Like I think the original build, I think it's either like a light blue or like a white, like the paneling on the side of the house. I think it was like white or something. And I did change the paneling, so it's not the exact same paneling, but I don't know. I feel like maybe in real life it wouldn't be that bad to completely do the paneling of your house. And then I kind of thought like the sim who's moving here, like they are very bright and colorful. Like I think like part of their personality is that they are a foodie, and I can't really remember what their other traits were, but I thought like I don't know, I kind of, when I'm making Sims and I'm thinking about who's going to live here, I like to think about like the hobbies they'll have. And one of the hobbies that I think the Sim who is moving here will have is, I think they're going to be really into like knitting, because I don't know, that's something that I really like to play with when I'm playing The Sims 4. And I feel like knitting and crocheting, I feel like people in my generation and even younger, like we're reclaiming hobbies, I guess, because I don't know, things are just too expensive. It's too expensive to be out and about. So I feel like more and more like younger generations are like trying to like reclaim hobbies, especially like hobbies that might be considered like only for old people. I've kind of like found out that I'm really into crocheting, so I don't know, maybe that's why I tend to get my Sims to get into that as well. The original build, I think it came with 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and then the kitchen and a really small living area. And at first I was going to do 2 bedrooms, but you'll see later on what I decided to do with the other bedroom that I made. You probably saw it earlier, I kind of did have a room, but like at the end you'll see that I kind of deleted the wall and it's kind of like just like a nook space. And I actually ended up running out of simoleons, so I wasn't able to like decorate that space, but I think that's okay. I feel like the decoration in this house is pretty realistic, because I feel like it's not overly decorated, because I feel like the Sim who just moved here, like they don't really have a lot of simoleons. They just like inherited this house, and I feel like a lot of the simoleons went into kind of like updating things and like painting the walls. At first I went with this all yellow color, but I feel like I would probably get sick of seeing that yellow, even though I really like the color yellow. At first, I was going to try and use the pastel pop kit. Some of the wallpaper that came from there was really nice, but I don't know, I felt like it was a little bit too bright for the space and it was a little bit too modern. And I feel like the Sim that is moving here, even though they did want to update the space, I feel like they really like that kind of like vintage, like antique type of like furniture as well. Thing I would spend money on if EA ever considered making something like that is like kind of like a throwback kit. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't want it as a kit because I feel like they wouldn't be able to do justice with just a kit. Maybe if it was like a couple kits, or I don't know, some type of stuff pack. But like I've been wanting like Sims 2 items in the Sims 4. Not necessarily Sims 2, because I think they have like brought some things back. I think it was like mostly in like the Basement Treasures kit and maybe some more recent packs. They've kind of like put some like Easter eggs from The Sims 2 in game, and I think there's even an event that's happening now. I don't know if the event is currently happening. I'm really bad with these events. Like I kind of like barely did the Halloween one or the Life and Death pack when that event came out. I barely did any of that event. And then the Christmas one, I started on it and then like I stopped right at the last 2 items I didn't get because I just got tired and bored of the event. But they currently have an event where they have some like throwback items, but I would like a whole kit or some type of pack where we get some like really, I don't know, like maybe like 90s or 2000s inspired decor, like especially like counters. Like one counter that I kind of wish we had is kind of similar to like some, like it's like a base game counter, and it's like a basic brown counter with the cabinets. But the reason why I don't really use those in like for this build, I feel like it would be perfect because it is an older house, but I didn't use those counters because they are pretty expensive. And I even think that like maybe if they refresh like a base game refresh, like they've been giving us these free items, I kind of wish they would like go back and make some of the base game items like a little bit less expensive, just because like some of those items are outdated anyway, and people really don't really use those anymore because the game is what, 10 years old, and like a lot of those furniture items are kind of like, I don't know, people don't really like them, but I like to use them for builds like this, especially like these older style builds. But I think I just went ahead and went with the Parenthood counters because they kind of gave me a similar vibe. Like I feel like this house is kind of like very homey, and maybe it's intended to be a family home, but the sim that's currently living here, they're not really interested in starting a family right now. They just moved into town, and they're just, you know, just trying to figure things out. They might even end up like selling the house. Maybe they'll do some more renovating, maybe updating some more things, and then selling it and moving into something bigger. And I mentioned before that the original build, it came with 2 bedrooms, but technically I think it was only like one, because the main bedroom, it was really weird. It was like it had this really long hallway that didn't, and then it connected to, I guess, what was supposed to be the master bedroom, but there wasn't any like walls or like a door separating like the main part of the house to that bedroom. I don't know why they did that. I don't know if they did it to save some mullions. I think they could have like saved some mullions by just like making the build with short walls instead of high walls. Usually when I'm doing a build, I typically like to do one room at a time, like completely do a whole room before I move on to another room. But one thing that you'll probably notice in this speed build is I kind of jumped from room to room. I try to make sure that I have like all the basic furniture that I need. Like I wanted to make sure that the bathroom was fully functioning, like with the toilet, sink, bathtub, and then I wanted to make sure I had like a fully functioning kitchen. And then like I go back and do a little bit of decorating. And as you can see, I kind of like decided to delete some things. I think I was like just trying to, I think like when I originally started this build, I had in mind that I wanted to use some stuff from the Nifty knitting. I think it was a stuff pack. I wanted to use some items from that because, like I said, I kind of had in mind that the sim who lives here, they're very interested in um, craft, not just knitting, but just crafting in general. Maybe they'll get into some painting as well. But I don't know, I think they just like have many different hobbies, but they're not really committed to those as much as they are like cooking and baking and stuff. I think that there's that's their main hobby. And then I use like these rugs from Laundry Day because in my mind, I also use the rugs from Pets, because I kind of like the idea that maybe the sim who lives here, maybe they're interested in making rugs, and maybe like going to different thrift stores and like not renovating them, but like what's it called, like I think they call it flipping, like when you go to a thrift store and you buy like an old piece of furniture and then you kind of like fix it up and, I don't know, make it look nice so people will want to like, and then I think they like resell it, I think. But that's kind of what I think the sim who lives here, what they did. They kind of went to different thrift stores and found like old pieces of furniture, fixed them up, and like threw them into this house. So I kind of wanted to go about decorating and furnishing this house. I didn't want things to be super matchy, even though that would have been easier in terms of like maybe limiting the amount of packs that I use. If you're like ever like, if you ever struggle with like decorating or furnishing a house, one of the easiest ways to go about it is trying to like sticking to one single pack, because sometimes when you're using like multiple different packs, it's kind of hard to make things look a little bit more cohesive and like matching. So if you're struggling with like a build, I think it's like a really good idea to just stick to maybe one single pack, because the packs, they come with items that go with each other, so it makes it a little bit easier to do builds. But for me in this particular build, I didn't want things to be super matchy. I also really like this lamp that I put in the bedroom. I can't remember where it came from. I think that lamp, and also this little like ottoman, I think it's called, that I put in front of the bed, I think those came from the Love Struck pack, which is a pack I just recently got. Even though it's been out for a while, I brought it when it was on sale, and I'm waiting for the Life and Death pack to go on sale so I can buy that one too. But the reason why I like that little lamp so much, it reminds me of something that I've seen a lot when I was like a little kid. I feel like everyone had that lamp. It was like something that you had to have in your house. Like it kind of like meant that you had it like that. And I really liked how like pretty much every house that I went to had a similar lamp. Like they didn't wasn't all the same, but like it was like these stained glass lamps. And for some reason I was like obsessed with them, and I think you had to like tap on it in order to like turn it on and like dim it and stuff like that. When it came to this build, I kind of did break some of my rules when it comes to sticking to a particular budget. One of the things that I suggest when you're trying to limit the amount of simoleons that you use for a build is to not use any cabinets, because those things are really expensive. But the original build, I probably post pictures of the original build at the end, kind of like do like a before and after type of thing. But the original build didn't come with cabinets, and I feel like the kitchen looked very empty at first. And again, I kind of had this feeling like maybe some of the furniture items that was in this house was like furniture items that had already been here. And then I also recommend that if you're trying to stick to a budget, don't use any curtains. And again, I also broke that rule as well, and I really like these curtains. I can't remember which pack they came from, but I feel like they're kind of like those lace curtains, and I don't know, I like curtains like that. It kind of gives me like country house vibes. And that also reminds me why I also went with the yellow like theme for the house, like especially the outside. And I think it's because I think Willow Creek is kind of based on Louisiana, I think. Or like I don't know, like it's inspired by the country. It really reminds me of like where I live. Like I live in a very rural community, I guess, or environment, whatever you want to call it. And so with it, I guess Willow Creek kind of being based on Louisiana. Like, I don't know. I didn't look up like specific houses from that area, but I don't know. When I think of like New Orleans or Louisiana, I think of like very vibrant and bright colors. And so I think I want to do more builds like that. Like maybe in this little neighborhood or whatever, I might do like brightly colored houses, I think. And then maybe in the other neighborhoods, I might do like, I don't know, like I don't want to call them basic, maybe like just plain white or brick houses. I don't know why. I just kind of like the idea of like in these certain, because I think in Willow Creek there's like three separate neighborhoods. So there's like this neighborhood where this one is from. I can't think of the name of it, but it's like the, I don't know. I don't want to call them cheap houses, but they're more affordable houses. And then there's another neighborhood where I think that's where I'm going to build most of my family houses. I feel like in this little neighborhood, I think this is going to be like where I keep like most of my young adults. I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about the save file. I'm kind of like just going like making things up as I go. At this point of the build, I was kind of feeling a little bit unsatisfied with the amount of like decor that I had in the house. I was running out of simoleons really fast. So I kind of like had to rethink some things. Like I wanted a table that had a really nice like tablecloth. I was looking for like a more um country, not, I don't know if you could say country, but like something like my grandma had. I hope that's like a good description of what I was looking for the kitchen area. But I think I ended up having to delete the table that I had before, and I deleted some chairs so that I could have some more simoleons. And then I also decided to delete the bathtub shower combination that I had in the bathroom originally, and I just went for the bathtub so that I could do some more decorating in the bathroom. And then I deleted the lights that I use for when I'm doing a build, because it makes the house like really bright. And I put the lights that I typically always use for most of my builds. I feel like these lights that I always use for builds, I feel like they're very common, like they're very realistic lights. I know like people use different lights for their house and stuff, but I feel like this light, I don't know how to explain it, but like I feel like the light that I use in this house is a light that you would find in this house in real life. And in the bathroom, I kind of did this little cute thing. I don't think it would be very practical to have a like table like this in front of the bathtub, because you would have to move it to put the towels and stuff there. But I feel like it's something that I've never really done before in a build, and I kind of like the idea of having like some type of table in the bathroom to put candles or like books or something if you decide to read in the bathtub. And I thought that was a really cute feature. And then I realized how empty my walls were. I barely had any wall decor, and then I just decided to use some very, very cheap posters on the walls. Maybe eventually when the sim makes some more money, maybe they'll be able to like buy like actual pictures. But then I also think that they will also, because I mentioned like 100 times already, I feel like the sim who is living here, they are going to be very crafty, and so I can see them like adding more decor that they made themselves to their walls. And I included a yoga mat because I just felt like I needed something that was like pretty cheap to fill in that corner. You probably saw I tried to use like the Nifty knitting. I think it was the desk that came with Nifty knitting, and I ended up not using as much of that pack as I originally thought that I was going to, just because I feel like the items from that pack were a little bit too bulky, and I also don't really like the color schemes that came with that pack. I kind of wish if there was like different swatches, I probably would have used it more. Um, Maybe eventually I might do some kind of like artist studio where I actually use those packs. And now I'm back on the outside of the house because I decided to do this last, because a lot of times when I go through debug, a lot of the times my game crashes, and I don't even think I saved while I was working at all, which is very risky. But I did end up saving some simoleons by just using some debug live mode items like the trees and the bush, some bushes, even though I did use some simoleons to pay for some of the bushes. Because I don't know, sometimes I just don't feel like going through debug to find some, I not clutter, but like the landscaping items. But I really like a lot of the landscaping that is in debug. Like they're really nice bushes and they match well with the rest of the environment. And I don't understand, like these bushes right here, like you can find them in debug for free, but why do they also sell them? I don't really get that. And then I did use the debug fencing as well, and I've used it in the last few um builds that I've done. And I don't know, I just like the way that they look, even though your Sims will just walk through it, because in the game, like the debug items don't exist. So yeah, your Sims will just completely walk through it. But this was my way of kind of like making a backyard area. Maybe your sim can like do some gardening back here with the flower pots or something. But we are almost at the end of this speed build. I will have this build on the gallery by time I get this video uploaded. So if you want to download it for yourself, you'll be able to download it. And also at the very end of the video, I'll include some screenshots of this build, and I'll also put some up of like how the build originally was. Even though I feel like when I do these budget builds, I feel like I don't get to decorate the space as much as I want to, but I feel like it's probably definitely an improvement from like how it was originally. And now in the bedroom, I'm kind of like deciding that I didn't want to have like this yellow wallpaper for the bedroom, and I kind of wanted to do something different. And I think this is a wallpaper from Cottage Living, and it kind of matches up with the baseboard of this yellow that I have in the rest of the house, and so I decided to go with that. And then this was going to be the second bedroom of the house, but I think I ended up kind of like opening that space up a little bit, one to kind of save some simoleons by deleting the walls, and then also I think in the future, I feel like, I mean, you can do whatever you want with the space, maybe not a bedroom, because it's kind of open. Maybe if you want to, you can like close it back up if your Sims can afford to. But I think what I want to do with this space is I kind of want to make like a crafting space for the Sim, or like a cozy corner with like a bookcase and like a really cute chair or something like that. I think I could see myself doing that. But I think we're kind of like getting to the end of the speed build, and I appreciate you so much if you made it to this point of the video, and I hope you enjoy this build.